Good morning. This is Andrea with Happy Cloud Creations, and this is week 3 of the Aloha Ripple Quilt Along. This week we are cutting up all of our, we're making all of our half square triangles and trimming them up. I'll wait a couple seconds to see if anybody jumps on. So if you jump on, say hi. Make sure I can see comments. It's actually kind of sunny here today. Yesterday it was pouring. Lots and lots of rain. But today is nice. Let's see, I hope I'm over. So if you jump on, say hi. Make sure, let's see. Hope I'm on the right page. If you jump on, say hi. I see a couple people are jumping on. Today we're doing the half square triangles, starting out on the half square triangles. Last night, since I wasn't going to wake up at 4 this morning, last night I scheduled my blog post and my email, my blog post, and my Facebook post all to go out this morning at 4, or 3, 4, and then 5. But for some reason the blog post didn't go out, so I'm sorry about that. So it is up now if you wanted to check that blog post out. Morning, Roberta. Good morning, Sue. Okay, good. I can see comments. Yeah, so I don't know what I did when I scheduled the blog post, but I think I did the wrong time. Maybe I did PM instead of AM. Good morning, Lori. All right, so I know a lot of people have like a love-hate relationship with half square triangles. I love how versatile they are and how many different designs you can make with them, but I hate trimming them. Trimming is the worst. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Nancy. Okay, cool. We're getting lots of people on here. I know some people like to make their half square triangles 8 at one time. One of the reasons I didn't do that for this pattern was some of them you don't need 8. And another reason is when you do that, these edges of the half square triangles will be bias edges. When you do it the 2 at one time, the edges are straight grain, and I prefer that to be straight grain. Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Deb. Hi, Nita. Getting lots of people on today. It must be a good day to sew, huh? So, if you guys have any questions along the way, just let me know. Half square triangle is really pretty basic, easy component to a quilt. It's one of the first type of blocks I made. You can make a pinwheel with it. You can make a chevron pattern with it. They're really easy and really nice. So basically in this pattern, the Aloha Ripple pattern, all of your background fabric squares will match up with all of the main color squares that you cut. So if you're having any question about that, just say one of your main or your background colors with one of your main prints. The pattern will tell you right here how many combos. And the combos basically means, so like GA, there will be 10 GA combos. And a combo is basically one background with one color. Okay? And so when you're making those, you want to do right sides of fabric together. So we got our print with our solid, which solid usually both sides is the right side. So right sides of fabric together. Good morning, Michelle. And make sure you refer to the pattern to see how many combos you need. If you're doing a king size, you'll be doing the same size as a queen, but you will need to look at that king size pattern to actually see how many you need, because you'll be needing a few extra half square triangles. Good morning, Lynn. So, I'll just give you a quick rundown. The baby size squares will be 4.5 inches. 4 1/4. The throw will be 6 1/4, and the queen and king will be 8 1/4. If you're an experienced quilter, you could always round down to the hole, like 8 inches for queen and king, 6 inches for throw, and 4 inches for baby. The reason I add that 4th inch is to give you some wiggle room when you're trimming the actual half square triangle down. Hi, Dory. Hi, Summer. Okay, Summer, you can get the pattern. Yes, this is a weekly, every week I go over the step we're doing. So this week we're doing the half square triangles. So you can look in the group to find last week's the flying geese. The previous week was the cutting instructions. I'll put a link up in this description when I'm done to a link to the pattern, because you download the pattern once on my Craftsy account and you have it for the whole quilt along. It's the Aloha Ripple Quilt. And it will be in the Happy Cloud Creations Craftsy. So I will, if you go to the pin post, that link is actually up in there. And also if you go to any of my blog posts, the link to the pattern is in there as well. Hi, Rose. Hi, Jody. You made it. Yay. Okay, so we got our 2 squares, right sides of fabric together. And I like to use just this disappearing ink purple. Even though it says disappearing, it doesn't really disappear. I marked this yesterday and it's still purple. From one corner to the other diagonally on the lighter color, because sometimes if you have a really dark color, like if you're using black or something, you won't be able to see with this. You could also get like a white chalk pen or pencil. You could use a Hera marker, which will just give you a little indent. So just something to mark that line. And then you'll want to sew a 4th inch from that line. Since this square has a ton of wiggle room, it could be a spot on 4th. I put scant in a scant 4th inch in the pattern just so that it's consistent throughout the pattern and you don't have to move your needle at all or switch feet. You know, just so you're always sewing the same 4th inch scant. That way, you know, it makes it easier, less confusing. Awesome, Summer. So yeah, you can watch last week's on the flying geese. I know watching it in person sometimes is a little easier than reading about it. Hi, Shawnee. Yeah, you made it home. Good job. I hope you had a great trip. Okay, so we marked our line and then we sew a 4th inch. Scant, 4th inch, whatever you're comfortable with. This is going to be plenty of room. And then I just go through and I take my scissors. If anybody has questions along the way, let me know. And I just cut down the center with my scissors. You could use a ruler and a rotary cutter if you want to do that. You know, you could watch a show and clip all these because we're making, for the baby throw and queen, we're making 46 combos. So that's a lot of combos. Okay, so once you got it cut in half, you're going to want to set your seam with your iron. Just press it down. And what that does, it kind of melds the thread stitches in with your fabric. And it gives you a nice crisp fold when you open it up. So you'll want to fold it open, finger press it open, and then you'll want to press it with your iron. You don't want to do any circular motions or anything like that, pushing it around. If you do that, this line will become wonky and it won't be nice, crisp, and flat. I fold mine and iron them so there's a line down the middle. Oh, that's a good idea, Nita. So you just fold your squares and iron it to give you that crease. That's a good idea. Then you don't have to worry about, like, if you did permanent marker or worry about any kind of ink not washing out. That's one reason I don't use permanent marker, because one, I'm afraid, it wouldn't wash out and you'd be able to see it through to the other side. And then also, what happens if it bleeds and gives your fabric an icky mess? That's a good idea. Okay, so you want to finger press that open, and now we got our nice, crisp half square triangles. If you notice, these edges really aren't like super straight. It's not like a perfect square. So that's why I like to make mine a little bit larger than I need, and then I'll square it up with my square ruler. I'm using a 6.5 inch. For the people that are using the queen and king. You can get a larger square ruler if you want. If not, you can use your long 6 by 24 inch ruler. You'll just want to make sure to line your seam, your center seam, up with this, see this 45-degree line on your ruler. You'll want to line it up perfectly. I know it's kind of hard for me to do that. Line that up perfectly, and then you'll trim it down so you have the exact same amount on this side and this side of your points. Because if you trim it incorrectly and you have like more on this side and this side than this side, your points won't meet up. And since this quilt is an overall design, you want it to be as precise as you can. That's kind of why this pattern was deemed an adventurous beginner to intermediate, because sometimes beginners don't realize, you need to trim it up precise cutting of your pieces so they're precise size. And then when you're sewing it together, you want to make sure your ends are correct scant 1/4 inch seam. So we got our pretty little half square triangles. If there's any questions, let me know. For the baby size, you're going to want to trim yours down to, let's see, 3.5 inches. For the throw size is 5.5 inches. For the queen and king are 7.5 inches. So I saw somebody had posted that they made all of them, but you got to make sure to trim it down to the correct size. Because when you go to make your corner blocks, A and B, these are going to be the same size as the solid square size pieces. 5.5, 3.5, 7.5. So you want to make sure that they're the same size or things will not line up. Things will not go together correctly. So yeah, it's a pretty basic block. I still got a ton to do. I just did the one little tester, so I got a lot ahead of me. So 46 plus 46, 92. 92 half square triangles. But you guys can do it. That's one of the reasons next week's block, the center block, is super quick and easy. It won't take very long at all to make. We're just going to be doing this one center block. So, I suggest start trimming those half square triangles this week, and then you can finish the, excuse me, you can, work your way through it, maybe each night, do a few, and then next week you can finish them up, since next week's block is super easy, and it won't take very long. Okay, so Summer, so when I line this up, since my ruler is bigger than the square, basically when I go to cut it, she's asking how do I cut it since my ruler is bigger. I line it up and I just cut the top and the side, and then I flip it around, and then I'll cut the top and the side. It's a little more work than if your square ruler was the exact size you need, but it works. I try to be frugal, so I don't have a ton of square rulers. I just have this 6.5 and I have this 12.5, so I make them work. Can you show how to line up block with ruler to trim? I understand about the center seam, but I am unsure about how to line up the sides. Carrie, did that kind of explain what I meant? So, so say I lined it up here, I press down hard here, and then I just take my rotary cutter and I'll cut the top off and the side off, and then I'll flip it around, and then I'll line this side up with the 5.5 and down here with the 5.5, and make sure that line is on, sorry, the line's here, this is on the 5.5, this is on the 5.5, after this side is already trimmed, and then I'll cut. You ran a few B and couldn't find the same materials to find. So you were short on B. Let's see, what color was B? Trying to think. Roberta, weren't you doing yours? Oh, good, Carrie, that answers your question. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of B. So, Roberta, you could do like, since B is this blue, if you maybe do half and half, you could always do this one color, the outer ripple, and then this center ripple could be the same as the geese. You know, maybe you could do that, or you could just do it scrappy and like mix a couple different colors in throughout, you know. Quilts don't have to be perfect. Make it how you want it, and sometimes a little scrappy's cool, you know. Make it work for what you got. Oh, thank you, Donna. I got a cute little photo bomber. I think she's bored. She realized I was in here doing a video, huh? So you guys have any more questions? Good morning, Lisa. If you're just joining us, I'm just about done. You can rewatch this. This will be in the discussion. Also, it'll be saved in the video section of the group. What do you mean, Summer? So if you want a finished 4-inch, so you always want to line it up with what size. So I want my finished block to be, once it's all sewed. You gotta be quiet. If you want your finished size block to say, our finished, once it's in the quilt and it's sewn to other pieces, it's going to be 5 inches. So you always add a 1/2 inch to that for your seam allowance. So our squares to be, we're going to line them up with the 5.5. See how this one's finished? You can see it's lined up with the 5.5 up here, and it's lined up with the 5.5 down below. That's how we know it's going to be 5.5 inches, and then it'll be finished, once it's sewn to other pieces, finished 5 inches, because we're going to take up a 1/2 inch, a 1/4 inch on each side seam allowance. Does that make sense? I guess I'm not sure what you're asking. How do you know you trimmed it the correct size? Because once it's at this point to this point, it'll be 5.5 inches. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. Perfect. Okay, cool. I'm not, I wasn't sure quite what you're doing. So 5.5, 5.5, and these edges 5.5. So as long as they're 5.5 inches, if you're doing the throw, make sure to look at the pattern to see what size you're doing, because the pattern has, for the baby, throw, queen, and then the king, there's a supplemental pattern. If you're doing the king, make sure to download that supplemental pattern. So if there's no more questions, I will see you guys next Tuesday to go over the next block. So, you know, you can take your times with these half square triangles, trimming them up, do some this week. You can finish them up next week because it's going to be super quick and easy block. So I'll go 10:15 Pacific Standard Time, so that's West Coast United States. I'll be on here again next week. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.